What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. We are about to do our first official mock draft on YouTube. Funny enough, I did one a couple of weeks ago, and I figured out my mic hasn't been working. So that was an issue. I had to fix my mic. I think we're all good now. And also a funny note before we get started, I just recorded 11 picks and didn't even realize it wasn't recording. So wouldn't that be something? But yeah, it should be a really fun one, and let's get this thing rolling. At number one, I'm going to go Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is the number one pick. I think the only argument is it the Titans taking him? Is it the Browns trading up? Or is it the Giants trading up? And I think there's real arguments for all three, but in a mock draft where I'm not going to be doing trades, I think the Titans just take him at number one. Will Levis doesn't look to be the answer through 2 years. So if you can reset the quarterback, your quarterback position for 5 years with the fifth year option, obviously, I think you do that. Brian Callahan also didn't draft Will Levis, so now he gets to take his quarterback of his choice for the future of the Titans. Number two, as y'all saw from the title, I'm going Shedeur Sanders for Cleveland. Kenny Pickett's not the answer. Deshaun Watson probably is not playing football next year, so just go ahead and grab Shedeur. Shedeur is actually, I think, one of the safer prospects in the draft at quarterback specifically in terms of I think will always probably be a top 15 to 25 quarterback in that range. Now, granted, you'd really like him to be closer to top 15, but yeah, man, I think Cleveland just needs some stability at quarterback to be able to allow them to win. Three for the Giants. Maybe you make argument for Abdul Carter since Kayvon Thibodeau is going into the last year of his contract unless they pick up the fifth year option. I think I'm going Travis Hunter. Paulson Adebo is coming off a broken leg. Deontay Banks has been a roller coaster his whole time in New York. So just grab Travis Hunter to be your CB1, and he can also play 15 or 20 snaps in the offense. So I think that's just too valuable for New York to pass on. Four for the Patriots, BPA. Just go Abdul Carter. Harold Landry, statistically, has been one of the worst edge rushers in football the past couple of years. Hopefully, he can change that and get back to playing better with Mike Vrabel. And Kayvon Chason, I thought was a pretty solid pickup. Keon White's there, but no. Nonetheless, you still need a dominant edge rusher one. Abdul's arguably the best player in the draft. Take Abdul Carter at four. Five for the Jaguars, pretty chalk. I'm just going Mason Graham. I really don't know what else the pick would be if they're sticking and picking. Maybe T Mac to play the Mike Evans role. Um, did not mean to click Genty. Maybe Tyler Warren. Maybe they love Will Johnson and he shocks everybody as of right now and goes in the top five. But no, I think the safe pick is definitely Mason Graham as of right now. Six for the Raiders. A lot of people are penciling in Ashton Genty. I'm not going to be doing that. Chip Kelly has two of his own running backs entering the draft that probably will be on the board at pick 37 in Quinshawn Judkins and Travion Henderson. I think he'd probably prefer to wait and get one of his guys. Tedero and McMillan can be that true boundary receiver you really just don't have. Trey Tucker and I think the other guy's name is Kamon Rucker, or no, that's the edge rusher. What is his name? Ramel Caton. Yeah, I don't know who that is. No disrespect to him. Hope you have a great career, but you're clearly, I think he's upgradable, considering I don't even know who he is. So to grab T Mac, who can be your 6'4, 6'5, just boundary wide receiver that does all the outside work that allows Brock Bowers to get more open, Jacoby Myers in the slot more open. I mean, I think that will do wonders for the offense. I really don't think Tet is falling out past Dallas, to be honest with y'all. I highly doubt it. Seven for the Jets. You can talk about Will Campbell and Armand Membu to play tackle. I'm going to go Tyler Warren. I really think the Jets strongly regret passing on Brock Bowers last year to go with a tackle just because he was a tight end. I don't think they're going to make that mistake twice. Tyler Warren is for sure a top 10, maybe even a top 5 player on some people's boards in the draft. So just take him at 7. Tyler Conklin still isn't back with you as of the making of this video at 6:10 p.m. on March 18th. So, yeah, just take Tyler Warren. Why not? Upgrade the offense for Justin Fields. All right, number 8 for the Panthers. There's a lot of rumors about this guy falling pretty far down the board because he hasn't participated in anything this offseason. I don't think that's the case. I think Will Johnson is easily a top 4 player in the draft. arguably top three. So if you're the Panthers and you're sitting here, I have a lot more faith I'm going to get a good edge rusher at 57 than a good corner at 57. So that's my reasoning of going corner over edge slash linebacker here. And I mean, Will Johnson's arguably the best player on the board, so just take him. Number nine for the Saints, just give me Will Campbell. Sorry, Saints fans that watch my lives. It's the boring pick, I know, but it definitely is a smart pick. Will Campbell is a phenomenal player, can play left tackle, left guard, right tackle, really anywhere you need him to. So upgrade that offense line for whoever the future quarterback of the Saints is going to be. 10, I'm just going to go Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty is arguably the best player in the whole entire draft. He for sure is a top three player. And the Bears really don't have that many needs on the roster. Right now, after free agency, you brung in Deo, Grady Jarrett, Jonah Jackson, Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman. I mean, amazing job by the Bears. So if you can get a player of Ashton Genty's caliber at 10, just take him. 11 for the Niners. I think this is one of the hardest picks in the draft. Maybe you like Jade Barron. I don't think I go with someone that I think could end up as a nickel corner. I mean, the interior defensive line for San Fran is really bad. Maybe you go Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant. The offensive line is upgradable. Maybe you go Armand Membu, a Kelvin Banks. I think all of these are options. I'm going to go a different route from all of those. I'm going to go Jalen Walker. I think Jalen Walker would be a very good Dre Greenlaw replacement. He's not quite as big as Dre Greenlaw. Jalen Walker at 6'1", 243. But man, he can also rush the passer. So when you're considering all the needs on the Niners roster, if you can get someone at 11 that can play multiple roles on your defense, I think you just take advantage of that. I think you have a fine starting five offensive line currently. So maybe you take a shot on Ariante Ursery at 43, Donovan Jackson, maybe Josh Connerly falls to you. I don't know. But I know you're not getting a player like Jalen Walker at 43. Number 12 for the Cowboys. No T-Mac, no Genty. So it should be quite the interesting pick for the Cowboys here. Man, I know the Cowboys like Brock Hoffman and Terrence Steele, but man, Armand Membu would be such a upgrade on the right side of the offensive line. Or Kelvin Banks to play left tackle, then Tyler Guyton moves to right tackle. They could actually cut Terrence Steele like right now as a post June 1st cut and save them a good bit of money. I think that's worth mentioning. This might surprise some people. I'm gonna go Jade Barron. This is not pre-recorded. I'm doing this on the fly, so if you ever wonder, oh, why is he taking so long to announce the pick? I might still be figuring out the picks. So yeah, I'm going Jade Barron, man. Losing Jordan Lewis absolutely sucked in free agency. There's talks about Trayvon Diggs' future in Dallas. Jade Barron, man. Jade Barron can play in the nickel day one to replace Jordan Lewis, and he can probably also go to the boundary if you need him to. If Trayvon Diggs or Deron Bland gets hurt, if you want to get rid of Trayvon Diggs, it just offers so much versatility in the secondary. And like I said, there's no T-Mac, there's no Genty. I don't know how y'all feel about Hampton. I personally would take Hampton at 12, but maybe Dallas doesn't want to. Maybe they'd wait on a Travion Henderson, a Caleb Johnson, a Cam Scatterbo. Um, it's a really deep running back class, so they definitely could. Matt Golden could be a thought, but man, Jade Barron is a top 10 player in the class to me. The Cowboys really take advantage of taking top 10 players that fall. I would just send it on Jade Barron. Why not? All right, 13 for my Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins can go so many routes. Malachi Starks is one of maybe my dream pick for the Dolphins. I don't think they're going to do it. Jahai Campbell, you brought back Tyrell Dotson, you brought in KJ Britt, brought back Bradley Chubb. I don't really see a role. Armand Membu is a fantastic athlete. The only problem is he's a right tackle, and you'd be asking him to play left guard. So that could be interesting. Kelvin Banks, I think, would be a great pick. I'm going with none of those guys I mentioned. The interior defense line could also be a thought because it's Zach Sealer and no one else currently. I'm going with Nick Emmanwori. The Dolphins are scheduled to meet with Emmanwori. I'm pretty sure later this week. And I mean, Emmanwori, man, do I really have to explain this? He's 6'3", 220, so a freak build. He's got a 43-inch vertical. He had over 11-foot broad jump. He ran a 4.38 at 220 pounds as a safety. Does this not scream Miami Dolphin? You lost Javon Holland. You brought in a couple depth guys that probably shouldn't be starters. One of them, probably Melifonwu, will be the other starter. But man, Nicky Memori can be that Kyle Hamilton role on your defense. He's way more athletic than Kyle Hamilton. Not nearly as good skill wise yet. But man, the sky's the limit for this guy. All right, 14 for the Colts. No Tyler Warren here, so you will see a different pick, Indy fans, which maybe you're happy about it, maybe you're not. I'm going to go Armand Membu. I think there could be some questions about Braden Smith's future with the Colts at right tackle. This could give you a chance to just have it in the back pocket because I'm drafting Mimbu to replace Will Fries at right guard um, for 2025. But yeah, if you wanted to get off Braden Smith, man, there's your right tackle of the future just that's been holding it down at right guard for you. So I really like this for the Colts. I mean, losing Will Fries sucked, but the contract he got, I do understand it. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. I think that's a very good pick for the Colts. 15 for the Falcons. Man, apparently Jeff Ulbrich loves Malachi Starks after watching Georgia's Pro Day, and rightfully so. I think Malachi Starks is still a top 10 player in the class, so if you can get him at 15, why not, man? Justin Simmons is still a free agent. Richie Grant, I think, went to the Niners. So, yeah, man, if you can get a player like Malachi Starks to pair with Jesse Bates, send it. I mean, that is the best safety duo in the NFL, without a doubt, in my opinion. 16 for the Cardinals. They added Josh Sweat, awesome. Dalvin Tomlinson, I thought they overpaid a little bit, but still a good addition. I'm going Walter Nolan. They need a true pass rusher in the interior of the defensive line that can just cause havoc on the quarterback that can help their edge rushers out. That's Walter Nolan. Apparently, there's some concerns about his maturity. I mean, what are we talking about? He's one of the best players in the draft. He for sure is a top 15 player. Just take him. Upgrade the defensive line, please. 17 for the Bengals. Sam Hubbard retired. I think Michael Williams would be a perfect replacement. They are almost the same build, except Michael's 2 inches taller. Michael is a great run defender. He's a high upside pass rusher. He flashes some of the tools, and he had a pretty good season at Georgia last year when you consider that he played injured the whole entire year. So I think that'd be a fantastic duo with Trey Hendrickson on the edge for the Bengals. 18 for the Seahawks. Just upgrade the offensive line, please. Kelvin Banks is sitting here. Just take him. He can play left guard. Christian Haynes can battle for a starting spot at right guard. Apparently, you're bringing in Dylan Radunz for a for an interview or whatever or meeting, whatever you want to call it, to see if you want to pick him up. I think he's good depth more than like a full-time starter. So yeah, grab Kelvin Banks. Banks can also play tackle if Abe Lucas or Charles Cross gets hurt. 19 for the Bucks. I think it just has to be Jahai Campbell. I mean, Jahai Campbell is simply too good of a player. Um, for sure, a top 20 player in the class. So if he's here at 19, Levante David can't play forever. Anthony Walker's more just good depth than anything and has an injury history. Jahai Campbell can help with the pass rush and be an off-ball linebacker. He's one of my favorite players in the class. I would definitely take him if I'm the Bucks at 19. 20. I'm between two players. One is Missouri's Luther Burden. I think he'd be a perfect slot receiver, can play multiple roles. But the player I'm going to go with is Amarian Hampton. Amarian Hampton is my number 11 player on my board. I think he is severely underrated. So if you can add Amarian Hampton to the backfield, Jaleel McLaughlin's not a starter. Aldrich Estime is a fine power back at best. So add Hampton, who can be your 3 down running back. 21 for the Steelers, Jackson Dart time. No, I'm not doing it. I'm going with Kenneth Grant, man. The Steelers lost Larry Ogunjobi. Currently, Keanu Benton is listed at nose tackle. He's like 305 pounds. I mean, get a real nose tackle. Kenneth Grant is 330 pounds. He's a great athlete and can add some much needed help to that interior defense line for Pittsburgh. And I mean, Mason Rudolph, like, I think it's fine enough if you struck out with every quarterback option possible. And maybe you just wait till next year to draft one, or maybe you like Jalen Milrow in the third round. Who knows? But I don't really think it has to be Dart at 21, like some people are saying. All right, 22 for the Chargers. Man, Colston Loveland does make a lot of sense considering they've added no one at tight end. It's a really deep tight end class. You can get one in the second round. But you could also make that argument for edge that you could get an edge rusher in the second round because if like Princely Umanmielon's there, amazing. Donovan Azaraku, Nick Scorton, JT Toimoluau, Sawyer, all those guys I think are fine at 54. The offensive line is starting to look better. I feel like the Chargers are brung in someone for, or I think they just signed James, which is a very good pickup at center. So yeah, just give me Colston Loveland. I think they could probably wait till the second round to get a edge rusher. So I'm just gonna add Colston Loveland. They brought back Tier Tart. They brung in Deshaun Hand, which Dolphins, how do you let him go? He was such a good depth player for you last year. I don't know what Chris Greer is doing. But yeah, man, if you can get Jim Harbaugh, his guy, that can be a true weapon for Herbert, I think you do it. All right, 23 for the Packers. I think it's a little early to get into the corners. Trey Amos, I love. Ben Morrison, I love. Seems a little early, though. I think I'd prefer to go with Matt Golden. Matt Golden can be a true game changer at the wide receiver position for Green Bay. He's got elite speed on the outside. He doesn't drop the football. He's a good route runner. Matt Golden, I think, is a top 15 player in the draft. I don't know why more people don't think that. I mean, just watch him play. If you need to get a third or a fourth down conversion, throw it to him and you're converting it. I mean, Matt Golden is such a good player that I would definitely take him if I'm the Packers to be that boundary receiver, probably to replace Christian Watson. All right, 24 for the Vikings. The Vikings have cleared house on the offensive line. I'm going to go with Gray Zabel. I think Gray Zabel would be a perfect plug and play left guard for the Vikings. I think, what is his name? Blake Brindle? His last name is Brindle. I can't remember his first name. But yeah, I mean, if you can get Gray Zabel there who can just start at left guard, your whole offensive line's complete in front of JJ McCarthy, obviously. And I mean, that's a really young group too, outside of Ryan Kelly. So yeah, I feel pretty good about getting Gray's able if he would load in. There we go. All right, 25 for the Texans. I would consider a player like Derek Harmon. Derek Harmon's one of my favorite players in the class. I think he's so underrated. So to add him to the interior defense line's tempting. I would consider Emeka and Luther Burden still. Christian Kirk is probably a 1 year rental like Stefan Diggs was. Tank Dell's probably not playing football next year, so I think it could be a thought. And like I said, these aren't pre recorded, so maybe it is, but I don't think it is. I'm going Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons was a top 10 player before he tore his ACL week 6 of the college football season. And the Texans' offense line is pretty bad. So whether Simmons plays left tackle, right tackle, Howard can play guard, Blake Fisher can play the other tackle spot, just improve the offensive line. All right, 26 for the Rams. Man, Jade Barron went a lot higher than he normally does. So doesn't look like we're getting corner or linebacker. This really is an interesting pick then. I think I lied. I'm definitely not going linebacker. Edge, no. Um, Offensive line, no. Colston Loveland's not here, so no. I think they could take a wide receiver. I mean, I don't think it's like promised Tutu Atwell or Jordan Whittington's going to have a role in your offense. And these are two very good receivers. Man, Luther Burden. Man, Tutu got 10 million a year though. Yeah, I think I'm going with one of my favorite players. I'm going to go Trey Amos. Trey Amos, I think, is an unbelievable player that is overlooked by so many people. I mean, when you look at his numbers, him and Jade Barron were arguably the best corner in college football. And I don't think it was close. I mean, Trey Amos, the whole question, well, is he fast enough to play corner? He ran a 4.43. He is fast enough. So I think this guy should be a first round pick. I think he's a tremendous player. 27 for the Ravens. Like I'm saying, man, these wide receivers, you brought in D Hop 1 year, 5 million. If D Hop's your wide receiver four, are you complaining? I mean, the edge rushers are here, and the edge rushers definitely are good. I understand that. The problem is, Adisa Isaac was what, a second or a third round pick. David Ajabo was a first. Odafe Owe was a first. Um, what is his name? Tavius Robinson was playing really good football. Kyle Van Noy still there. It's just so many bodies. I'm gonna go Shamar Stewart regardless, though. Maybe you get rid of Jabo, Dafeo, and maybe you trade one of them away with this pick. Consider saying like you made this pick, now you get rid of them. Um, but maybe not. I mean, Shamar Stewart, if he puts the weight back on, he can play inside too and replace like Broderick Washington in that 3-4 defense. So it's not really like he's guaranteed to play the edge because he could play inside if he adds his weight back on that he dropped for the combine. Shamar Stewart's honestly someone I think I've had him as high as 4 before, which is probably a little too high. Um, I think I've had him at 7, 8, 8 for sure. So I mean, when you're talking about a guy that can go that high and you got him at 27, why not? 28 for Detroit. I'm going to pick up Mike Green. Mike Green is a great player. It's just going to be about does his background check out. Um, and I mean, yeah, like I said, Mike Green, you pair him with Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport. That's a really good trio of edge rushers. He's just got some pretty bad allegations on him from the past that could affect his draft stock. 29 for the Commanders. I'm going Luther Burden, but we got Debo Samuel. Hear me out. You lost to Olamide Zaccheaus and Diami Brown. Terry's your boundary. Debo's probably in your slot. Luke McCaffrey didn't really do much as a rookie. Debo is probably a 1 year rental unless he just revitalizes his career, which I don't think a lot of us expect. So when you consider that he's probably a 1 year rental, would Luther Burden not just be the perfect long-term Debo replacement in Washington? Because clearly they want someone that can play that role in Cliff Kingsbury's offense. So if you can take Luther Burden and essentially just have a rookie Debo Samuel waiting after Debo is gone, which not to say he's not going to play because he's just going to start elsewhere. He just might not be as dominant as he can be. So, I mean, Luther can play on the outside. He's like 6'1, 205 pounds. So, it's not to say he's not going to play. He definitely will play, but I think it'd be pretty cool to really get Debo's replacement, essentially. I mean, which just happens to be a really good player that fell in your lap. All right, 30 for the Bills. I'm going James Pierce Jr. If you know me, you know I think James Pierce Jr. is a top 10 player in the class really easily. He's another one like Mike Green. Apparently, it's all about the character, so that could cause him to slip in the draft. But man, AJ Epinesa, I think, is a really good third edge rusher. Joey Bosa is a 1 year rental. Greg Russo is going to need a running mate. Greg Russo and James Pierce Jr., that's one of the scariest pass rush duos in the NFL. All right, 31 for the Chiefs. Emeka I would consider. Like I said, just a good receiver falling. Um, and he can play a unique role because I mean Rashee Rice does play in the slot, but he's not just a slot only receiver. Man, this is a tough pick because offensive line. You sign Jalen Moore, Sua Mateo, you need a right tackle. I don't see anyone that's playing right tackle right here. Cameron Williams, it's way too early. Ursary, I think you could argue it's too early. I just don't see the value in going offensive line. I'm going to go with Tyleek Williams right here. I think they could use a run stuffer next to Chris Jones in the interior of the defense line. They lost Derek Nottie and Tershawn Wharton. So adding Tyleek Williams who can just clog up the run defense, I think that'd be amazing. And 32 for the Eagles to round this thing off. I think you could still go corner after adding Adoree Jackson and having like Keely Ringo. There's some really good players right here. Um, Edge room, I think you still could go, but I think adding Josh Uche and Aziz Ojolari is probably good enough as rotation guys. I'm gonna go with Derek Harmon. Like I said, Derek Harmon's one of my favorite players in the draft. So if you can get him at 32 and essentially just get your Milton Williams replacement, I think you do that. So yeah, here is the first official mock draft that will be up and posting, and hopefully the mic and the volume actually worked on it so it can stay up. But yeah, man, it was a pretty fun one. I will start to do mocks with trades. I'll make other content reacting to mocks. Really, I just had to figure out what was going on with my mock before I could start posting. But yeah, hope to see more of y'all from my TikTok heading over to my YouTube channel, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.